Where's the autograph signing going to be at, dog?
Are there any places open that can allow for several thousand people in a confined space to get my autograph right now? Or do we have to wait?
I don't know. Well, the parking lot at the gym has probably got ample space if people kind of wrap around a few times while observing the 6 foot recommendation.
I don't think it's going to be possible to socially distance. I think that even if it's, say, like a football field, I'll have way too many followers and admirers.
Problem is, I don't know if anyone will recognize you, sir. You missed a golden opportunity by giving out your Christian name instead of your performer name.
Dude, straight up, I almost gave them my work name because I pretty much put my work name on everything, Pete. My IMDb is under my work name. So I was really tempted to give them my work name and not my slave name because I don't want people to know my Christian name.
Right, right. That strong German name of yours.
Yeah, which got me really over in Germany. In fact, they wouldn't even let me work by my work name because they made me wrestle under my German name. Does this make sense? Is this getting confusing yet?
If it's confusing, that means that people haven't listened enough, and that's their own fault, quite honestly.
Okay, cool. So, for those who aren't aware of my local celebrity, ya boy was on the news on two channels last week in Indianapolis, and probably in what would you say the surrounding several counties, surrounding several hundred miles. What's the radius on Fox 59 and CBS 4 Indy? It's probably pretty colossal.
Well, I think Fox 59 is relatively local to central Indiana, but CBS, I believe they brag about being statewide.
Whoa,
Yeah,
literal
man.
state famous, as if I wasn't already Indiana famous, Pete.
Now it's a done deal, man. And did you waive your appearance fee or what? Like you got paid on that, didn't you?
So I'm gonna get paid on the back end, Pete, because it's not always about the upfront, right? It's about the back end sometimes. Um, residuals would come into play off that. But see, I actually made best friends with the newscaster. So now, and he's also a big wrestling fan. I was gonna say Mark in a derogatory way, but he's not a Mark man. He's just a good dude and a wrestling fan. And he and I made best friends. So I'm going to just be honest. I think that potentially this could lead to some big things in the future as far as White River Wrestling and our promotional vehicle. So your boy got paid, Pete.
Wouldn't that be an interesting show title? It'd be like the time Jake didn't get boned.
Yeah, I'm a wrestler. So by nature, I get screwed. You know what I mean? Not a lot pans out for us. I've had like six good shows out of 6,000, Pete.
And how many times would you say you've been promised a promotional gimmick or to be put over just to have that not pan out?
1,000. Yeah. Yeah.
Roughly 1,000.
Yeah, 8,000. If we're rounding down, it's probably like 1,011 or something, 1,017. So no, this could work. This could work, Pete. It could be my breakthrough moment. Maybe they want to carry White River Wrestling on local TV, not public access.
Wouldn't that be something?
Give me airtime, bitch.
So, do you think that anyone is going to make the transition from the legend that you were before to now the TV star here locally?
Well, I should probably explain for the uninitiated what exactly happened, Pete. Now, it's no secret. I don't like diving too much into my day to day, my real life. But you know what? This is one of those things I open up on that this podcast that people know me a little bit. So I'm just gonna throw it out there, dog. I think we made references to the fact that your boy runs a gym, right? So I run this pretty sick gym. It's in the Noblesville area, and
Where you train real fighters?
yeah, I'm not going to give names or anything like that, but we fight a little bit. We fight a little bit. We're pretty good. And yeah, good looking trainers too. We're aesthetically pleasing as far as our looks on the inside and our people that you interact with. So it's a victory all the way around. So anyway, we got shut down during this whole quarantine thing, Pete. Life kind of came to a stop and the gym business just was non-existent. So we had to prep the last couple months, like, hey, what are we going to do when we reopen? How are we going to keep people safe? How are we going to keep people confident? So in the midst of all this craziness, we were doing like some run through classes, trying to keep people distant, seeing how masks were going to work, seeing how we were going to structure the gym because we had to move a lot of stuff around. In the middle of all of this, I at one point looked down at my phone, see I got a missed call and I got a voicemail, and I have no idea who it is. So I try to listen to the voicemail, but it's all fuzzy and I can't understand it. Then the gym phone rings, and I go over and I look and I see the number, and I'm like, huh, should I answer? Because you know what? Big secret, Pete. I never answer the phone intentionally. I don't want to answer the phone. I just don't do it.
Don't you have people for that? Come on.
Yeah, during our day to day, we have people to answer the phone, but the phone hardly ever rings anyway, and the phone rings really quietly. Usually the gym is bumping, the music's loud, so half the time if we answer the phone, we can't even hear the people. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna be a good employee. My boss is here, I guess, ready to like come down on me with the force of God if I do anything wrong. So I pick up the phone. A dude's like, "Hey man, I'm this dude. I'm famous. I'm from these famous television stations. Do you want to be famous?" And I'm like, "Well, hell yeah, brother. When should I be famous?" And he's like, "I can be there in 30 minutes." That's turnaround time, Pete. 30 minutes.
Do you have enough time to primp and prep to get ready?
Dude, I look good every day. One of my good friends, whose bachelor party I went to this last weekend, but that's a story for another day, Pete. He always used to tell me, dress like you're about to meet the love of your life. So every single day I'm stunting.
The sole reason I said that was to see if you would repeat one of my more favorite phrases lately, which is, you don't got to get ready when you stay ready.
Oh yeah, well, it's the same exact scenario here, right?
Yep.
Just a different, yeah, just a vaguely related simile. Yeah, you don't got to get ready when you stay ready, man. So I'm always dressed like I'm about to meet the love of my life, Pete. And hey, maybe I have already. That's a story for another day. Anyway, I was like, 30 minutes, huh? He's like, yep, we can move quickly. I was like, yeah, dude, come on in. So dude comes in. He gets there 40 minutes later. Over the next 40 minutes, or the next hour and a half rather, we talk a lot of wrestling. He gives me this killer interview. I give him sound bites of the millennium because I'm a promo goddamn machine. I got away with words. I'm the eloquence of execution. So we do all this stuff. He takes a ton of footage. We become buddies. We talk wrestling. And since he's on a Fox 59, Fox affiliate, he said that ever since Fox procured the rights to WWE SmackDown, that now the station wants as much wrestling related news as possible. There's not a lot of wrestling related news out there, Pete. We went ahead and he's like, "Hey, man, we got to stay in touch." I was like, "Dude, we should work together on whatever you want, man." And and Dylan Bostic works at the same gym with me, so there's plenty of opportunity for us to help him out. So they edit that sucker, they throw it up that night, on the 10 o'clock news and the 11 o'clock news, and then they throw it all over the internets immediately after. And lots of big shares, lots of people reaching out, lots of hood rats in the DMs. You know what I mean? Just another day in the life.
Right.
The next day, and I go into our office and I see some other people, and they even sent out an email through the company talking about how famous I am. And I actually mean, they're saying the word famous. They're not saying it sarcastically, like I'm sarcastically saying it right now and throwing it around lightly to be a joke and kind of a douche. They actually are like, "Oh yeah, you're famous." So like every time I did that, they said something like that. I just went ahead and pretty much got straight face, and I was like, "I've been famous." Just letting them know, like, hey, don't mess with me. Also, I work with some stooges, so none of them have been famous. I've been famous in 15 countries, Pete. This isn't the first rodeo to me, but it's always nice to get a little bit of local press too. Get back to the community.
So they must not often go shopping for hooch in the Fishers area then. Otherwise they'd know.
Yeah, exactly. So, I have been famous under my Christian name. I've been famous under my work name. I've also been famous under several other pseudonyms, several other monikers, right? There is a devout section of Central Indiana alcoholics that know your boy simply as the legend. Wait, let it
That's
sink
fair.
in. Let it sink in. All right.
It's a fair point, dog. I mean, I gotta quit starting sentences by saying I mean. But it's true, man. Your face is plastered all over at least one Central Indiana liquor store. And in my opinion, it's one of the stores with the best selection because I consider myself a craft beer and spirits aficionado.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're looking for something to impress other folks, that's the store you hit up.
Yeah, as a connoisseur of fine spirits, you know the places to go. See, I'm debating if we should give people the actual location or not, or if we should keep that a secret. Just because it's we don't want to blow it out of proportion. But then again, everyone could go there, say something about they know the legend, and people like nod their head and be like, "Yeah, we know." Like to get it over, I need to stop saying like you need to start saying I mean. This is a story where actually, Pete, you yourself are a big part of this story. So I can even turn it over to you to start this sucker and then take it from there because this was a series of very interesting events that took place for me to even realize that I was the legend.
Man, it's a pretty swell story. I'm not going to lie, but I almost wonder. I haven't been to that liquor store in quite some time. I'm trying to do a quick Google search. So I'm going to take a quick production pause here to where I can get the address and get in the proper mindset.
And I'll even say, while you're looking that up, if any of our Central Indiana listeners want to hit me up and ask what liquor store it is, I may potentially tell you. But if you go in, you definitely have to sell it. You're like, oh shit, that dude's the legend, and then you just got to walk out.
That's the one. I done found it. All right. It's a spot where you go when you don't want to pay more for liquor, but that's all I'll say on the subject. But one fine evening, I was in the mood for a craft beer, as I am from time to time, and stopped in at this spot that is relatively undiscovered in the Fisher/Westfield area, but technically Fisher's. So I stroll in, I peruse what they've got, and I take my stuff up to the front. I exchange cash for product. And on my way out, I push on the bar. I hear the ding of the door opening. And when I look, there's a familiar face taped to this door. So I stop in my tracks and I turn because I'm the only one in the store. And I say, "Hey, what's up with this guy here?" "Oh, yeah, man. That dude's a legend. That dude is a freaking legend. I wasn't even here when this happened, but apparently this guy, he's a pretty big wrestler. Like, I don't know his name because I wasn't here when it happened, but he came in and he was like, 'Hey, man, is it cool if I throw this flyer up? I'm having an event.'" And the owner was like, "Oh, hell yeah, of course." So he put that up in the window. And, I forget when the event was, but it was over. So we went to take this thing down, but we couldn't just get rid of it. We have all these studly looking dudes just flexing. So of course we cut this guy's face out and stuck it right on the window, man, because that dude's a freaking legend. And then we've got a couple other of the wrestlers on different spots. We've just kind of got them hidden. And then if you look up front here, we got this cop looking dude as a warning to shoplifters, man. Like, we can't just get rid of a flyer that looks that good. And kind of looked over at him and I go, "Well, that dude's Jake Oman, and I work with him from time to time." And just kind of gave the dude a nod and walked out because I felt like riding on your coattails a little bit because the dude was already pretty hyped. And yeah, I just wanted to be a little cool by association.
Hey man, I will never shame somebody on wanting to be famous by association. I'm a huge Entourage fan, and so many people are famous by his association. And I'm gonna be honest, if you go out with me to the club, if you go out with me to the bars, the night scene, dude, I make a lot of people famous by association, Pete. And yeah, you don't even have to know who I am to just know I'm somebody, and that can make other people famous by proxy.
And I will vouch, not having a need for a wingman since I was 14, 15 years old, but I've seen Jake do it for other folks when out and about in the evening. If you want to get some attention, Jake will more than likely get you all you can handle.
I'm more responsible for people getting laid than ecstasy, bro.
That's a hell of a claim. I don't know if it's provable, but that's t-shirt material.
Yeah, I mean that's good. I mean I just made that up. I just said that. That's just a great catch line. I haven't gotten more people laid than ecstasy, but I think it gets the point across, you know what I mean?
And how many other people are just referred to as the legend on the day to day?
Yeah. When it comes to that, I remember you telling me the story a little bit differently, man. Just a hair. I'm not questioning the validity, but maybe I just remembered it the way I wanted to remember it. So if you don't mind, I'll say my version of the story, and then I got to add to it. Is that okay?
Yeah, as long as everyone knows that mine is clearly the more authentic. It's not a contest or anything, no big deal,
No,
but
I
just
mean,
saying.
legit, it could be. I mean, it totally could be the more authentic one because I'm the one whose view is going to be skewed because my head grew a little bit that day. So like, what do they say? His head grew 3 sizes that day. So yeah, I could be remembering it differently. But the way what I remembered was we were having a conversation, and you're like, "Hey, dude, did you know that your face is on the window of this liquor store?" I was like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, your face is totally on the window of this liquor store." I'm like, "Yeah, right." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Man," or this is you're he, and you're like, "Yeah, man, yeah, you're on this window." And I was like, "Hey, what's up with this?" And I thought that they just said to you, "Oh, that dude, yeah, that's the legend." And you're just like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, that dude's the freaking legend." And I thought that is where your conversation ended, Pete. I thought you just went ahead and walked out the door. See, I don't recall there was any other explanation for this, and I'll explain why. So,
It's because you heard what you needed to hear and tuned out. Some guy referred to you as a legend, and I'm not worried about the rest.
dude, we figured it out. This is what happened, right? I That's all I needed to hear was that dude's the legend. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm the legend. And I'm like, even though there's a little bit of me deep back in my head, I'm like, why? Why am I the legend? I don't drink, Pete. Like, it's not like I'm not Van Wilder, you know?
But that's not a thing one should ever question. If it's like the whole Ghostbusters thing, if someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
Yeah, are you the legend? Hell yeah, I'm the legend. Hell yeah. And every time I say hell yeah, side note, I don't think of Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think of Dylan Bostic, who is the king of hell yeah. Like, that's just one of his things. Like, hey, do you want to do this dangerous, maybe illegal thing? And he'll be like, hell yeah. So I just heard he's the legend. And I'm pretty sure he didn't tell you the flyer part, that he added that in later, but I could be wrong. Just let me continue. So you told me this. My timeline is going to be a little off. So these are just generalized guesses. So you tell me this one night, you say I'm the legend. I'm like, all right. And in my head, I'm like, man, I wonder if that's still a thing. I need to swing by. But I don't. A month or two later, somebody else texts me and they're like, hey, dude, do you know that your face is on the picture in this liquor store? Pretty sure it's my friend Evan. Hey, man, do you know your face is in this on this liquor store door? And I was like, wait, seriously? He's like, yeah, man, you're totally here. And I was like, all right, can you take a picture? Then he didn't get back to me for a few minutes. I was like, oh, dude, sorry, I already left. But yeah, you're totally on the window. I'm not screwing with you. So that corroborated your story, Pete, because I wasn't 100% sure you weren't screwing with me. I thought you might have been playing with me a little bit.
I wouldn't put it past me either. Sometimes I'm kind of obnoxious, and these things are just funny to me to do.
And it would have been funny because I would rib someone like that too. But then again, like, yeah, you told me something cool. So I was just going to hope that it was true. So you're person number one, Evan's person number two. Maybe another month goes by. I was working at a different gym, one that didn't make me much of a celebrity, but one that I really enjoyed. And there's a couple that comes in at night. They are super cool people. Their names are Nate and Angie. So Nate and Angie come in. It's a Friday night. And they come in. I remember this night vividly. They come in, and Angie's sister-in-law is with them, and she wants to try out the gym because she's in town from Columbus for the weekend. And it's crazy the amount of details I can remember about certain things, but I can't remember like really basic aspects of my life, like how to tie my shoes, because I'm so brain damaged. If it revolves around this story, I remember it. They come in, I'm hanging out with them, talking to them, and they're just like really cool, like 27, 28-year-old people. They're not in the party stages anymore. And they're like in the probably getting ready to start a family stage, bought a house, whatever. So I'm like, hey, what are you guys up to tonight? What are you guys up to this weekend? And they're like, oh, well, we're about to go to the liquor store, and I think we're just going to party a little bit and just get trashed. Which
you just played them up as being responsible adults, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna go get some libations and get wasted.
that's why this was so funny to me, because they're like the pretty much straight and narrow type. I didn't expect them to say that. That's why it was great, because they're just like, yep. Nate was just like, and the way Nate said it was like he was a little proud because they probably haven't gotten trashed since they were like 22, and it's been a long time, and they've saved up this drunk karma. So he's like, it was just the way he said it. He's like proud, like, yep, gonna go to the liquor store here in a minute and get trashed. So I laugh. He laughs. The girls were still in the back. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So I don't know where I knew they lived in Westfield. And I was like, in theory, they could pass by the place in the back of my head. So I was like, oh, man, well, if you go to this specific liquor store, there's a picture of me on the window. And apparently they just refer to me as the legend. And he looks at me like he doesn't believe me, like I just made it up. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, apparently I have a picture on the door of this liquor store. I have no idea why. My buddy asked, they said I'm a legend, and left it at that because honestly, that's all I want to hear. I don't think there's an explanation that could be better than the unknown of I'm the legend. How did that happen? I don't know. The story is really best without an explanation, Pete, right?
That's fair. You should shoot. I wonder if we should just go back and delete what I said and leave what you said because it is cooler. I will give you that.
No, it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure I'm right anyway. But so he's like, okay, well, we probably will stop at that store. I'll let you know. I was like, dude, please let me know because a third person means 100% confirmation. That's like death penalty stuff. You know what I mean? Like 3 people saw it. Three witnesses did it. Like that dude's going to the chair. It's not just hearsay anymore. Monday, Nate comes back in. I completely forgot about telling him that. And he's like, dude, you are totally on the door at that liquor store. And I just start laughing. I'm like, dude, that's hilarious. He's like, yeah, man, I wasn't sure if you were serious or not. I was like, I'm be honest, man, I haven't seen it yet. I was like, it's been months and I've meant to go by. I just don't ever drive that way. So we joked about it for a minute and he asked me again if I knew why. I was like, nope, I don't know. But honestly, it might be better that I don't know. Another month or two goes by. I am going to run a professional wrestling show. And when I run a professional wrestling show, I get out and I do a lot of work. So I will pick a couple full days and I will drive into an area and I will go around and pass out flyers to every building or every establishment within at least a 5-mile radius. And then I might have some people go out further or whatever. So if I try and hit like a 60 to 100 establishments every time, and I hope that 20 or 30% of them will put up a flyer and that each one yields a handful of people. That's how you actually promote. You don't just put an ad on Facebook. I wish wrestling companies would understand that that doesn't actually work. So I'm out and about. I'm flyering, right? So I walk in to this liquor store and I'm looking around. I don't see anyone for a minute. And then somebody comes out of the back room. They're like, oh, hey, how can I help you, man? It's like, oh, actually, I just had a quick question. I don't know if there's a manager around. Actually, I just want to see if I could put up a flyer. The guy's like, oh, hold on one second. So he goes and gets another person. Manager comes out of another room. He's like, oh, how can I help you? I was like, oh, yeah. So I'm a professional wrestler and I run a professional wrestling show around here. And we're a pretty big deal. I just wanted to see if you'd be able to put up a flyer, help us advertise. The guy's like, oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Here, give me the flyer. I'll tape it up for you. I was like, okay, cool. Which you never know if they're actually going to be. So many people take the flyer and they just throw it away, or they say they have to ask a superior, and what that means is no.
Yeah, but it's cute that they lie to you. They don't want to directly hurt your feelings. That's some behind your back kind of shit.
Dude, yeah, I would rather them do that to me. And usually in life, I would rather somebody kind of just be as direct as possible. Like, no, I don't love you. Yes, I'm breaking up with you. I think you're a piece of shit. I would normally rather the directness instead of like the roundabout, like patronizing. But in this one situation, because if I go to 100 establishments, I'm going to get some real cold nose and it's going to hurt. And I'd rather just have I'll ask my manager. Worst case scenario, maybe that person hands the flyer to the manager. They're a wrestling fan, but they still can't put it up anyway. But maybe they come to the show or they text their buddy and they're like, hey, this weird dude came in and had this flyer, and then that dude sees the flyer. You never know. It might yield results. So the guy's like, yeah, sure. Takes it, and he actually pulls out some scotch tape, which that's always what I have in my back pocket when I go to put up flyers. I have usually 2 rolls of scotch tape, because at some point I will hear, oh, I got to find tape. Oh, I don't think I have any tape. Do you have any tape? And then I can hand them that, and hopefully they'll put it up immediately. Or I'll even offer to put it up. Like I'll be like, hey, yeah, where it works for you, I can just throw it up, because once it goes up, the harder it is to come down. The trouble is it just getting up on the wall. So the guy takes it, says that, and he's like, oh yeah, is there anything else I can help you out with? And I'm like, yeah. And I point at the door, and I see a little Jake Omen face on the door, like a very small square. This is like an inch by an inch or something. This is not even a passport photo, Pete. So I'm like, yeah, point at it. Why the hell am I on your door?
And knowing you, I'm confident that's how you phrased it. Like
I did.
you got the approval from this guy to put the flyer up, but you still hit him with, "Why the hell is my face on your door?"
Yes, because I thought it was funny, and I already like kind of joked with the guy for a minute, and we were cool. But I wanted to get just a little bit serious. Yeah, why the hell am I on your door? And the dude like he just starts laughing. It's like I don't know if he recognized me or not from my picture, which has always been on the door. By the way, you can't see the picture unless you're exiting because it's on the back of the front door, and there's stuff covering the door. So like there's signs and pictures and whatever all over it when you're coming in from the outside. So you can't only see my photo if you're exiting. So I'm sure there's a lot of people who've seen it and just didn't turn around to ask why it was a thing. So he just kind of chuckles and he's like, "Oh yeah, that thing." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just curious. I'd heard from some people over the last few months that I was on your door. I just didn't believe it." He's like, "Oh yeah, man." And Pete, maybe we should just go ahead and shut off the podcast right here, man. Leave it as a cliffhanger.
No one needs to know the response, huh?
Yep. Because honestly, I think it's better as a cliffhanger. Like I said, I like the story where he just said, "I'm the legend." That's all I really needed to know. He goes ahead and starts explaining, and he pretty much
Oh
yeah.
no, you can't b- out now. You left it up for the cliffhanger. Just tell the folks you love them. Tell them where they can find you,
I love you guys.
and ride off into the sunset.
Story for another day at Off the Cliff Pod at Jake Oman 2012 at Multimedia Media Muscle. Anyway, no, I have to tell it because there's a little bit more to the story. Anyway, I had a story for another day. Enough people. He starts telling me, he's like, "Oh yeah, man." So, and keep in mind too, I had never flyered at this place for a show, so I knew. This is why I was pretty sure I didn't hear from you that it was a flyer because I immediately would have remembered that thinking I've never put up a flyer at that location because I remember because it's usually the same places when I run the same venues and then I'll try a few new ones each time, but usually I already even know who's going to shoot me down first. Like I already know what places are going to say hell no, but I usually still go in and try because maybe there's new management or something, or maybe the kid working behind the counter doesn't care about his job, puts the flyer up immediately. Maybe it stays for an afternoon at least, which is cool. Thanks to those kids, that pathetic 16-year-olds who don't care about their job at Jimmy John's. So he starts explaining stories like, "Oh yeah, man, a while back, a dude came in and he was putting up wrestling flyers for a show and then he named this location." So he named the location, and I had co-ran a show with this dude a few years back, and it was the worst experience I've ever had running a show with another human being. I'm not going to say the dude's name or any thing to give it away because I don't like throwing that type of shade. I only like throwing shade at people like Billy Corgan on the podcast. But this dude, I ran a show with him, and he was a complete con artist, a complete sleazeball. He lied to me from day one. So I ended up losing a lot of money on this show, and this dude didn't do any of the work. I guess, however, he went to just a handful of places. He was supposed to go to at least 60 establishments, give me the list, let me know which ones put up the flyers. Those are notes I keep. This isn't just me giving him busy work by any means. These are specific notes I keep. I write down every place I go, yay, nay, or a maybe. I guess this was one of the handful of places the guy went. Also, it makes sense because it was a promo picture that I never would have put on a flyer myself. It was a picture of me screaming. So like my hair is down, my mouth is open, you can see my teeth. My eyes are a little bit squinty. Like you can tell it's me, but it's not a good promotional picture for a flyer. It's just you could find a better one. So I never would put it on one of my flyers. That's another reason I was so confused originally as to where the picture would have came from. But apparently this dude came in, put the flyer up for the show, they let him. And then at the end of the show afterward, someone was like, "Oh man, oh the show's done." And one of the employees grabbed it and was like, "Nah man, we can't waste it. There's something here. Like there's too much goodness on this flyer to just throw it away." And the manager was like, "Okay, that's a little weird, but sure, man, whatever, you do your thing." So the guy grabbed a pair of scissors and he cut out a couple of the faces, mine being one of them. Apparently the dude was like, "Well, this dude's obviously the star of the show. Put mine on the front door." Then around the side, he cut out another face of a guy named Officer Rod Street. Now, Rod Street is not a police officer. Rod Street, however, looks just like a police officer. He also, like 10 years ago, was a a young kid who went by the name Chip Daly. He looked just like a Chippendales dancer. He looked that part too because he was ripped, skinny, short, douchey hair, no facial hair. And then years later, he puts on some weight and then he puts on some muscle, shaves his head, has a mustache, buys a cop uniform, and now this dude is one of the most entertaining dudes in the Midwest. He even shows up with like several fake deputies, and they take caution tape and come out and put it all the way around the ring before the match starts. And he doesn't come out to entrance music. He has a bullhorn and he just holds down the siren button. It's so annoying, Pete. This is great heat. Like, this makes people so pissed off. Plus, everyone wants to boo the cop anyway. They cut out a picture of Rod Street and they put it next to the shoplifting sign, and they even drew like a little speech bubble that was something like, "If you shoplift, I'll bust your ass." Which
That's
hilarious.
pretty clever.
Yeah, it's hilarious. And what makes it even better is he looks so much like a cop. People would just think it's a picture of a cop. You know, they look at mine, and mine's obviously something weird, but they look at that, and his is just a picture of a cop. I've been meaning to tell Rod Street this for years. I've only seen him a handful of times. I can't wait to see him again. Rod Street's funny. They said that there's one or two other faces that they'd hidden on specific bottles throughout the store. So I looked around for a minute because someone said, like, oh, yeah, way back there on the left, there's one bottle of Old Number 7 that has a dude on it too. So like I go and I'm searching through, and this was kind of funny and kind of fun actually, like searching through the bottles to find the face. I'm looking around and I'm like, oh, this is great. And like I picked up one bottle, boom, there was a face on the side, and I was like, all right, cool. Like that's very interesting. I wonder if anyone's ever seen that and wondered. And then I wandered around the store for another few minutes, but I didn't see any faces. So maybe somebody bought like a cheap scotch with Scotty Young's face on it. I don't know. Or some other type of bad decisions liquor with Ace Perry's face. I don't know because I don't even know who all was on the flyer. But that is how apparently I became the legend at that liquor store in Fishers, and I like it that way. Like I said, I didn't even need the explanation. It was better, I think, without it. But I'm a guy who needs to answer the questions, the hard questions.
A guy who loves context.
Yeah, I need my context, bro. I need my context.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you that. Your version was probably better. The truth isn't always as cool. I understand, man. I understand.
Dude, I'm still pretty sure. I'm still 95% sure that him actually telling you the flyer part was not something you told me. And I know you didn't know the Rod Street part. I had to tell you that part later because you would have just thought it was a cop.
That's true. You did tell me, I'm sure you probably told me about the cop thing, and I'm infusing that into my storytelling, but I definitely knew about the flyer because you're like, yeah, whatever. But
Okay, yeah, I'll accept that.
I'm going to find a way to mess with you now, though. I think I'm going to intentionally find some of your flyers, cut them up, and just stick them places. And maybe that'll be the fun thing that I do.
Please do it. I'll give you flyers with much better pictures than me and bigger.
No, I'm going to go BWE flyers. I'm going to see if I can find any of those that exist.
Okay, I'll send you some senior pictures. You can just cut my head out of those. Me with my neck beard and my bandana that actually like smashed down my long hair. It looks so terrible.
Yep. Find you with some swell printed button-ups. It'll be great.
Yeah, when I backyard wrestled, I had, a lot of button-up T-shirts that had like spider webs and stuff. That was bad A.
Yep.
Sorry, I cussed a lot during the episode trying to watch it now. Yeah, I like how that story goes. I'm still the legend. I'm still I'm local famous, and yeah, it's just another day for Jake Oman, man. With these episodes, we said we may be able to go back to the studio soon as well. So hopefully in the next few weeks our audio quality will change a little bit. There's also one or two stories, Pete, that I would like to go ahead and throw out there, but I feel like they're still much better in-person stories. It's kind of hard to play off each other when we're through a computer. It's just easier to read those social cues and body language for when somebody's speaking or when they want you to speak. So very excited for the return to the studio.
Right. The old hand raise function on this application that we're using doesn't quite get it done, nor is it even used. But I'll tell you what. What?
Wait. Hand raise function?
Yeah, man. You see how you have the mute button next to your name, which I called you Fleek Mill this episode, and you didn't even comment.
Yeah, you have a lot of funny names for me on these. Yeah, I see the hand. I've seen the hand the whole time. It does something?
Yeah. Press it. It says raise hand. Yeah, man. Now your hand is in color, so I can see that you would like to interject.
Whoa, damn it! I didn't even know. Have you been clicking that?
No, I have not used
Oh,
that a
okay.
single time. But I tell you what, I am going to shout out the app we're using because I think a lot of industry people are using Zoom,
Yeah,
which is fine, but it's kind of a crappy application if you're into good audio. What we use is Zencaster. It's much better, and I'd like to think that our product sounds better than others using Zoom, but no big deal, just a production flex.
that's pretty sweet, man. I'm glad you said that. Initially I thought we might have to do some type of Zoom call, and I've been doing so many of those for work. I was a little skeptical on the potential quality.
Zoom is no bueno for audio, but it is easier to make faces at people and that kind of thing. So I fully agree with your point that once we're back in the studio, maybe it'll be a little more free flowing, a little more natural because we won't be stepping on each other's toes, as it were.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, we can't even see each other's face through Zencaster here. This isn't a face app; it's just our voices.
Indeed,
Yeah,
because you can't be wasting bandwidth on video. It's got to go all to that audio, man. That sweet, sweet audio.
dude, I can't believe these noobs don't even know. Like it doesn't.
Yeah,
It
man.
didn't take us being 60 episodes deep to be true pros. By the way, this is episode 60.
That's pretty dope. The
Yeah,
big 6-0.
that's pretty sweet. I'm pretty happy with that.
Made it longer than a lot of other podcasts, and pretty soon we'll get that Joe Rogan like contract and we'll be getting paid.
Yeah, and we'll finally get a good watch sponsor.
Yeah, I tell you what, that should be, well, it's either going to be that or dick pills. I'm not sure which, but if there's a company looking to sell natural male enhancement or fine male watches, we're open to either.
Dude, almost every wrestling related podcast I listen to nowadays is sponsored by Blue Chew, which is like a Cialis or a Viagra that you don't need a prescription for, and they'll probably give you the first dose for free. Just have to pay the shipping. I know that because they sponsor every wrestling podcast that I listen to.
Yeah, we should find a slightly better one because we don't want to just peddle crap. Otherwise, we would have peddled those crap watches.
I don't need no Blue Chew though. Just saying.
Nah, man.
I don't know if you've heard some of my stories. What was the name of my Scotland story, Pete? What was the name of that episode?
Jake loves blue chews?
Nah, Jake don't need no Blue Chew. One Jake, seven girls, no Blue Chew.
Yeah, have to go back in and edit that one. Throw that in the title.
Yep. So cool, man. Well, yeah, and we also have done this without having guests yet. I have people ask me all the time if they can be a guest and tell their story. And I'm like, oh yeah, man, I love that idea, but I like what we do. I like what we do with no guests and them being my stories. I probably will at some point have some people join us or jump in, but I like our format, Pete, and I have a lot of fun with it. So just you and me for the foreseeable future.
Ride or die.
Ride or die. Thanks, dog. As I said before, everybody at Multimedia Hustle is Pete, at JakeOma2012 is me, at OffTheCliffPod is us. Comments and reviews and likes and shares and all that go a super long way. And we love all of you.